You get a kit now that has that in it.
You get one like every 8 hours through a kit, but if you die,
Lose it.
it's going to take a while to find another one.
Yeah.
You're better off just begging for someone from somebody.
Well, the problem is it's pretty quiet. Like, I've said hello a couple of times. I'm like one of 3 people online. There's always like 2 others, and they never talk.
It's kind of like anti-rushed.
I wonder if my base over there got raided or if it just decayed. Talking about Aftermath, right?
Boom! How you doing?
Going gray very early in life.
Hey,
I
Boom.
can't see anything.
All right, you guys ready to get this started?
Yes.
So, as we always do, everybody just keep yourself muted or keep your mic off while we're doing this. We're going to give plenty of chances for everybody to speak up and make comments, ask questions, call me a cunt, whatever you got to do. We're going to give you a chance to do it. For those that are new to the server meetings, we have a chat channel where you guys can talk and goof off and chit chat while we're doing this. I try to keep an eye on it when I can. You know, if something funny pops up, I may comment on it, or, you know, if something you guys are curious about, then I'll mention it. So I do keep an eye on that channel. Also, we are recording this, so if you guys have any friends or anybody that you know that missed it and wants to see it, then we're going to put that on our YouTube channel so people can listen. So I guess I don't need any introduction. Most of you people know me. For those that are new to the server, we've also got some of our lead admins in here, Drac and Eliana.
Hi, Darren.
Those are pretty much, if any Game of Thrones fans in here, they're pretty much the hand of the king. They have full authority to do whatever they want to do with the server without having to come to me for it. We also have numerous admins in the channel, and some of our new staff are in the channel also right now. And I'm going to give all of them chances to say things and do things and whatever they got to do. So, getting started. Before I hit my notes, wow, what a month, right? For any of you people that have been around, you know, for more than a month, just wow, what a month. That's all we can really say about that. We've been getting slaughtered, as you guys can tell, with the population. Lots of new players, which means lots for us to do because, honestly, new players take about twice as much admin effort as veteran players do. So we have just been getting slammed. I can't say I'm disappointed in that. It's been great, honestly. It's a lot of work, but it's great. So much so that we had to start a second server, and that server is already staying on track to be just as, you know, slammed to capacity as the main server is. Pretty much when the main server is at queue, the light server is, you know, 10 or 15 away from a queue. When the main server dips, which is natural for the end of the month, like right now, you know, the light server dips too. So it's pretty much staying steady. Looks like it's going to be a permanent fixture here. Real quick before I get to my notes, also, for those who are here from the Aftermath server, we're going to be changing the Aftermath server over to basically PvE, just like our other 2 servers are. Same plugins, same everything else. The only difference being it's going to stay with Terminus loot and no crafting. I won't get into that with the rest of you. That's just more of a comment for the Aftermath people that might be here. Sort of our last ditch hoorah on that little side project server, but we're going to turn it basically into a mimic of the other 2 servers, just with Terminus loot and no crafting. All right, so getting to my notes, I'm just going to go through my notes. I'm sure some of my lead admins will interrupt me at certain times to comment on things. Just ask that the rest of you keep quiet while I go down what I got to get through. And I'll pass it over to the lead admins and then the admins and staff. And once we're done with that, we'll take questions from the players. If you guys have any, just save them for that part. There's no point in asking them right now in the chat because they'll go by so fast I won't pay attention. But we'll do that at the end. And then we'll pass out a bunch of goodies and then let you guys get ready to prep your bases for tomorrow. Okay, so first up, Fade with It dies to zombie hordes a lot. Okay, moving on to my next note. I couldn't resist that fade, sorry. So the next note would be discuss the admin raid bases, the difference between sponsored events and normal admin raid bases, and just how we want those to be handled. So there's been sort of a gray area between admin raid bases and official, sponsored events like that. Even so with the admins, to where we actually had to have a staff meeting to talk about it and decide what the definitive line is in between those. So I'm going to explain it to you just basically the way we talked about it in staff, so that there's no clouds. You guys can see everything that's going on. If an admin wants to do an admin raid base, which is basically the same thing as a player doing a raid base, where they convert their own base into a raid base, the admin has to farm. It's all with their own stuff. They have to farm their own materials, use their own kits, use their own weapons. They cannot spawn in a single bullet or bandage, period. With the exception, we do authorize admins to do those kind of raid bases, but to do so, they have to go to a senior lead admin and get the base itself approved and the stuff that is in the base, like all the gear and whatever, approved. We don't want giant admin raid bases popping up, 3 days into the wipe, and you guys throwing yourselves at them and losing all your shit. So we've basically put a lot of restrictions on those. Just know that if you're doing an admin raid base, and that's the ones that show up as a light blue icon on the map, not only did the admin, that's all his own stuff, but it's also a free-for-all. There is no... You really got to just understand that admin is technically a player at that point. The plugin actually demotes him like completely. Even their chat, comes up as just normal chat in the chat. They lose all powers, so they are a normal player at that point. Meaning they can do shady shit. They can come around and flank you. They can... Let me turn my volume down so you don't have to hear my Discord. They can flank you. They can do all kinds of shady shit. They're a normal player at that point, which is why I don't let them spawn in stuff for those kind of events, because they can do anything. So I'm not going to let them use their admin powers to spawn stuff in for that. On the flip side of that, when we do an actual admin raid, like that outstanding one we did the other night with you guys, the official, sponsored events from the staff, obviously the rules are a lot different there. And when that happens, we ask that all players cooperate with each other, don't kill each other, don't stab each other in the back, don't steal each other's loot, blah, blah, blah. So we just want to make sure that difference was understood. An admin raid base, the light blue circle on the map, is just like a normal player raid base. The admin is stripped of all his powers and anything goes. It's a free-for-all. People could stab you in the back and steal your shit. The only rule we have about admins in those, even though they're a normal player, we don't allow them to take your loot out of the bubble. That's the rule that I've given my staff, is even though they're using their own gear and their own materials, and they are technically a normal player during that raid, I don't allow them to take your stuff out of the bubble. They can take your stuff and use it, but it can't leave the bubble. That's just... again, they're a normal player during that, but I think it's kind of a dick move for an admin to take your shit. Even if they are demoted during the raid, it just kind of looks bad if they take your stuff and keep it. So they can take your stuff and use it against you, but they can't keep it. And with the big admin raids, like the actual events, as you saw last time, we turned off looting so that there's no players stealing shit from each other. That was our first try doing that. So we tried to make the rewards at the end worth it, because I know a lot of the reward is you being able to loot us. So we tried to make it worth it. Hopefully you guys enjoyed that event and found it to be worth it. So anyway, so just wanted to make sure you guys understood the difference between the two. Let me see. My next note says, for the 77th time, discuss how raid bases are not just giant loot boxes, how the loot is divided, and how sucking up all the flat land on the map can really make raid bases broken. They are not a means of farm or profit. And I've literally said this at every meeting. So here we go again. Raid bases are not gold eggs. They're not there to give you a profit. They're there to entertain you. We do realize that there's a thin balance between entertainment and I just wasted all my shit and that was, that sucked. So we try to give you some good rewards when you do these raid bases. Just, you got to understand, RNG is not going to give you what you want every time. They're not meant to be giant loot containers. They're actually meant to be a way for you to use up all your stuff because it's going to wipe at the end of the wipe anyway. So, on that same note, taking up flat land. This wipe wasn't so bad, but last wipe you guys were killing us with the flat land. We were literally flying around the map for days, deleting every little headstone, every little wall, every little even bear traps, anything we could to free up land for raid bases to spawn. So keep that in mind when you guys are plopping down little 1x1 teleport points in the middle of an open field. When there's a big rock, pile of rocks to your west, you could have easily popped it on, which a raid base could never spawn on. So you just got to be more considerate of the land you're taking up. And we're going to discuss the raid bases and stuff a little bit more later when Aliana steps up. Real quick reminder to everybody what the difference is between support bot and Zombot. This actually has been getting really bad lately. I don't know why. I guess because of all the new players to Rust and just new people in general. Zombot is just manned by regular old players like yourselves. Just people that have been around for a minute and volunteered their time to answer, what I call dumb questions. It's not really dumb questions. If you're new to the game, it seems like a dumb question to me, but to you, it's a pretty legit question. So that's what they're there for, to answer questions that don't need an admin. 50% of the things we get as admins didn't require an admin in the first place. So that's why we have Zombot. That's exactly what that's for. On the other side of that, if it's something that's really wrong, like you're under the map and you're dying, Zombot's not going to be able to do anything for you, which is what support bot is for. So support bot is for things you need admins for, especially emergencies. If it's not an emergency, try and chat first. We got a really helpful community, and then try Zombot. We have really helpful people there. We really need to save support bot for things that actually need an admin, because we got to hop between multiple servers now. Half the time we got to figure out who the hell you are, because most of you people don't have your nickname set in our Discord, so we don't even know who you are. We got to figure out what server you're on, because people forget to tell us what server they're on. So just save support bot for an emergency. There's a lot of things that people can help you with that we don't need to be contacted for. And that's not to throw you off, like we don't want to help you. It's just we're pretty overworked as it is right now. So okay, moving on to my notes. Stressed, save that question for later, and I'll get at it. Let's see. Oop, I'm sorry. My push to talk scrolled my notes. Okay, here we go. My next note is about suggestions. We are not taking any suggestions that have to do with more plugins, period. We actually need to lose about 20 plugins right now. So any suggestion you have, if it has anything to do with a feature of the game that's not currently possible, then it's not going to happen, because we're not taking any more plugins. Anything after vanilla is a plugin. So the suggestions of, hey, would it be possible for you to, make minicopters from Bandit Camp lock? No, if it's not part of vanilla, it's a plugin, and we're not going to add any more plugins. So those kind of suggestions, I hate to be a jerk like that. There's got to be 50 plugins that we would love to install right now that we used to actually have and we had to get rid of to make room for bigger stuff like raid bases. There's only so many things a machine, it's not even the machine actually, it's the Rust software that runs on the server. There's only so many plugins it can handle at a time, and we are way over that limit right now. So my next note, harassing other players and causing players to leave our server. It has got to stop. Staff are going to tighten up on this. Yeah, we've had some incidents of people just being, just complete douches to people, and I don't even get why. Ironically, the incident that made me even put that note in there, the funny thing is that led me to meet a player on our server who was the victim of that incident, who honestly has got to be one of the most kind players I think we've ever had in the history of our server. and it's going on almost 2 years now. I'm going to get into that situation in a little bit later here, but that's what's funny about this is that player, that particular player that was being harassed and caused me to write this note, had been harassed so many times now by just random people just being a complete jerk off. I mean, just spamming cuss words at them and just going into their base and trying to break stuff. And it's just like, leave people alone. There's no point to that. This person, this was their third time being harassed, and it literally became almost an emergency to the staff and me, because we don't want the person to quit our server. But all you guys are accomplishing, and I say you guys, it's honestly, I'm glancing at this channel, I don't see anybody in here that's ever caused me a problem. But just people in general that are doing that, all you're doing is making people leave our server, because if they come here and that's the first thing they see, they're going to think it's just another typical toxic Rust server. So just please stop harassing people. And if someone tells you to leave them alone, just leave them alone. They may be having a bad day or something. And again, this situation, we almost lost. I cannot believe this person didn't quit our server after how many times they had to submit tickets of people harassing them. And I'm glad they didn't. And you all are going to be really glad they didn't too, once I tell you the rest of that story. But we'll get to that in just a minute. Matter of fact, that person's in here right now. Do me a favor and DM me in Discord. You know who you are. Let me know if I can call you out by name when I talk about that later. I forgot how we talked about that, but throw me a DM and let me know if I can call you out by name, because I think you deserve it.
And if you can't DM him, you can DM Eliana and I'll tell him.
They can DM me. I got them enabled on my personal thing.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. If that person's not listening, though, you might have to DM them and kick him. Say, hey, pay attention. He's talking about you.
Okay.
Okay, so moving on to the next. Staff performance. The night the skin bug caused the server to be on fire with a weekend of 200 plus players. Yeah. What a freaking night that was. I don't know how many of you were here for that. The short story is, last wipe, there was a skin bug that literally just, the best way to describe it is the server was on fire. We had over 200 players online. I had to increase the player count. We had such a long queue. There was a skin that was causing everybody within like a 6 grid radius on the map to completely crash, and you could not get back online. That includes admins. So it was a clusterfuck. And again, that's with 200 plus people online. Yeah, I think our new record was 206, wasn't it, Eternal? I don't know. I raised the cap just that night because we had so many people on. In the queue was so long. But yeah, so imagine that many people, and anyone within a 6 grid radius of this very popular spot was getting disconnected and couldn't get back on. 209, that's pretty awesome. Anyway, so the point of the story here is my staff, man, I cannot toot their horn enough. We had new staff members that were still, learning the ropes. We had admins, we had lead admins. Everybody just kind of, it's almost like a military unit, man. Everybody just, when the bullets started coming down on them, they just all took positions and knew what to do. And it was very impressive. As someone from a police background, to see people know what to do without having to be told in an emergency situation like that is really impressive. So big round of applause to the staff for handling that night. Like, that was coming from behind the scenes. That was a nightmare for all of us involved. And my staff handled that excellently. I mean, it was flawless. It was flawless. They literally just jumped on it. Even the new guys just found what they could do with their limited powers and were helping. It was just incredible. So good job to the staff on that fateful night. All right, moving on. Player builds are literally killing us. Server metrics the last day of the wipe versus wipe day with 200 people. Okay, yeah. So we have a server metric that we watch. It doesn't. Basically, the cap is 90 for this metric. FacePunch recommends setting your cap to 30. Honestly, they said anything under 10 is when players will start to see lag, but anything over 20 to 30 is pretty good. We set our cap at 90. So the server, actually, what's it at right now? Yeah, right now it's all the way down at 32. Um, again, you won't really see lag even during the admin event the other night. If you guys remember when we were just choking the hell out of the server with all those dead bodies and stuff, that I mean, it still was in the it was in like 10 to 13 range, so it was borderline getting laggy, but it wasn't too bad. The point of this is on wipe day with 200 plus people online, but there's no entities because nobody's really built much yet. Our server was like 80 something in the metrics. That's with 200 plus people online. Now, later on in the wipe, even right now, it's at 32 right now. And how many players do we have? Hold on, I'm not even looking here. 95. Okay, so 95 players, we're at 32. Whereas with 200 players, we were at almost 80 something. So if you get my drift there, player entities are literally what chokes the server. That's it. I mean, that's what does it. Logic tells you if you have 200 players but barely any entities because it just wiped, and you're running like a freaking race car, and now later on in the wipe when there's a couple 100,000 entities and our metrics are at 42 now with 95 players on, so you can tell the difference being is player entities. That's why we're such sticklers for the player entities. They literally kill us. Again, it's not going to cause the server to grind to a halt, but the biggest problem is it grinds players to a halt. Anyone that gets around these crowded rivers and roads, I mean, it just grinds your computer to a halt and you get terrible frames and it's just hard to play. So entities are anything. Well, entities are everything, honestly, even the map itself. So an empty map, I think this one was like 33,000 entities when it's empty. The last map was about 40,000 entities when it was empty, but by the end of the wipe, we had 300,000 entities. So it's just insane. So that's why we get so anal with these giant. You got a one player that'll build a hollow 10 by 10 that's 5 stories tall, and there's nothing in it. It's just like what you're doing nothing but harming the server and the rest of the players that don't have great computers. So just keep that in mind for us. We're trying so hard not to put build limits on this server because we want people to be able to play like they want to play. We actually hated having to put deployable limits on people, but you get people that are putting down 300 campfires. You got to do something. So that was the whole entity problem. Moving on to the next note. Oh, I'm just going to read this note out loud. Why do I have to bring this up in every meeting? Spread out. We are still getting, can you make this guy move his base tickets? And I crashed a heli on his base tickets. What the literal fuck, people? So that's my note. Spread out. Please, for the love of God, spread out. I don't know if you guys noticed this, but starting with this map that we're on right now, I started just slapping down invisible no build zones in just random places for no reason whatsoever. So if you try to build near the river and road and you can't build here, but it's just wide open grass and you're thinking to yourself, what the hell? That's why, because you guys won't spread out. So I started forcing you to spread out by putting down just random no build zones. I don't want to do that, especially because it really sucks if you're trying to build your base and you didn't check the perimeter first and you start building it and then you go to expand and now suddenly you can't expand because there's a no build zone right next to you. That's not fair. But I mean, what else do you want me to do? You guys are just literally building inside each other's colons. I don't know what the draw to that is. I don't know why that's like the thing to do right now. But like, can we stay out of each other's buttholes, please? I even put my own butthole on the map this wipe for you guys. Like, stay out of each other's. So, moving on.
Word.
You guys got problems.
Awkward.
Sorry, I'm reading my note. I'm not just sitting here silently being awkward. I'm reading my next note to make sure it's something I want to read out loud or not. Okay, yeah. So my next note is simple. When dealing with admins, just tell the truth or apologize, whatever. Just admit what you did or try to remedy the situation. We let a lot of people stick around. If you lie to us or try to hide things from us or be shady about it, we're just going to ban you. I mean, we're not here to babysit you. We're all adults here. I mean, I actually use Pooh Water as an example every time I talk about this. I don't even think he's here. No, he's not. Pooh Water's like one of my buddies on the server. I'm sure most of you know that by now. He's just my buddy. He's cool. Me and him hated each other. He literally, F you, T-Bird, your server is going to fail because you're an asshole, and quit our server. Like literally, back when we first met, that was how he acted to me. That's how much we fought each other. But he's still here, and me and him are good buddies now. The point of that is we're not that hard to get along with, the admins here. I'm sure most of the regulars in this channel would agree. We're not that hard to get along with. And even worse, if you do stupid shit, just man up about it. Just quit being a dick. You know, admit you were wrong. Say you're not going to do it again, and we let you go. I literally had a guy come in the server and say the N-word first off, and you know, most of you know, I'm married to a black woman. I don't tolerate racism at all. And he came in the server, said the N-word, got permanently banned. He appealed to his ban, and literally how polite he was in his appeal to his ban, I let him back in the server. I mean, we're not that hard to get along. So just don't be a dick. You know, we got people like, hell, I don't know if this person's in the channel either. I don't see him here. I yelled at a guy earlier today. I'm sure you guys saw me in chat, actually. It was probably about 4 hours ago. I yelled at some guy for some stuff on his base. And honestly, instead of being a douche about it, he corrected it, apologized. And I was just like, I was floored. I didn't even know what to say. He was just so polite about it and just did what I asked him to do and was very polite about it and said he was sorry. And I threw him some damn presents for it. Like, just be nice. There's no reason to be a jerk to us. We're just trying to enforce our rules, especially the rest of the staff. If you want to be a jerk to me, that's fine, because I'm the one that, you know, made the rules. But the rest of the staff, they're just doing their job. They want to stay staff and they want to stay on the server, so they're just doing what I asked them to do. So please don't take things out on them. Let's see, moving on to the next. Hold on, I gotta scroll here. Okay, my next note is about the person I was talking about earlier. So has this person not DM'd me yet? I'm gonna DM the person right now. Give me 1 second here. All right, I just DM'd that person. We're gonna skip that note for a second while I wait for that person to reply. Eliana, if you get a chance, will you spam that person for me?
Yeah, sure thing.
Oh, wait, that person replied to me. Okay, perfect. So I won't get into too much detail because I don't want this person to get spammed or bugged by everybody. But this is the person I was talking about earlier that had multiple tickets in literally just days of people just harassing the hell out of her, treating her like utter dog shit. And we actually came, you know, when a lot of times we see cues in chat, like we know if we see somebody like, you know, what the fuck, man, I was here first in chat, we actually go invisible and come observe the situation long before you guys put support tickets in. That's just something we've learned how to do over the years. So this person definitely got treated like shit from some people for no reason. We witnessed it firsthand. This person's got to be one of the nicest players we've had on the server in a while. I will tell you that, again, I'm not going to get into details about how much or what, but this person has spent about a car payment just this month on buying other players vet gold. That's insane. That is absolutely insane. This person, you remember the 3 vet golds we gave away at the event the other night? That came from this person too. And that was this person's idea. This person literally has just gone around the server and looked for people that she saw being nice to other players or just, you know, having a good time, and just literally is just handing out vet gold to people for no other reason whatsoever. And I had to fight tooth and nail just to be able to give a shout out to this person because they didn't want the recognition. They didn't want, you know, they didn't want this big deal made out of it. They just wanted to be nice to people. And this is the same person that had all those support tickets about people harassing her. And they definitely did. We witnessed it. It wasn't just made up. This person has more vet golds sitting in stock, waiting to be given away at future events too. That like the donation is through the roof, and it's all for other players. It's not for themselves. Like, it's absolutely insane. That person would be Dream Killers. So big round of applause to her. She is one of the most generous players we've ever had on our server and is literally going out of her way to make sure the rest of you guys have a good time. So big round of applause to Dream. We will be giving away more vet golds at future events thanks to her. So there you go, Dream. Soak in those applause for a second. You deserve it. That's really awesome. Okay, so moving on.
Before you move on with that, T, I would just like to point out Dream Killers does stream on Twitch. For
Oh, I
anyone
meant
who
to.
would like
No,
to
yeah,
support her.
I'm sorry. I told her I wanted to give her a shout out to her Twitch channel too. Let me put that in this thing right now. Hold on. Actually, Eternal, put that in the chat for me, please, if you don't mind.
Will
so
do.
I don't lose my place in my notes here and go find it. Yeah, she is a streamer. I actually watch her stream all the time. It's great. So I want to give her a shout out. Maybe she can get some more followers. That's the least she deserves for all that she's done for the players on the server. Would be to get some more followers. And I will let you guys know she has never once asked or even expected any special treatment from the admins. Hell, we've even, hey, anything you need, and she never asked. She never wants anything. She just likes to be nice to everybody. So make sure, yeah, she's on the main server. I think she dabbles on light too. So make sure you guys give her a follow. We're gonna, her and her friends here play on, I think, both servers, but give her a follow. Her stream's pretty cool. And we'll throw it here in the chat channel in just a second here.
Yep, I'm grabbing it now.
Yeah, Eternal will put it in chat in just a second here. So big shout out to Dream. That was awesome. I mean, like the admins were stunned. We were almost in tears. We couldn't believe that she was doing that. Yep, there's her stream right there. So everybody give her a follow. She's a pretty awesome chick. Okay, so moving on to the next. Discuss abandoned base plugin and how you only need. Okay, I was going to touch on the auto purge plugin real quick, just so you guys know. We have a lot of new players and a lot of people logging in, going, "What the hell? Where'd my base go? I got raided." No, you didn't. So right now it's set to 2 days, 4 days, and 6 days. It's going to stay that way for a while, just because of the population. Sorry. Anyway, so what it does is basically, if you haven't logged into the server in however many days, 2, 4, 6 would be normal player, VIP, and veteran. So 2, 4, and 6. If you haven't logged into the server in that many days, your base gets auto converted to a raid base, or it gets deleted if it doesn't qualify for a raid base. We have certain qualifications. Otherwise, we don't want somebody to just have a 2x2 foundation with no doors and make that a raid base. So either way, your base gets gone. All you have to do is log in for 5 minutes. That's it. The reason it's 5 minutes is because the plugin just saves timestamps every 5 minutes. If it saved it constantly, it would lag. So every 5 minutes, the plugin saves the timestamp for every player on the server, see when they last logged in. So if you log in for 5 minutes, your timer is now reset. The same thing goes with your clan mates. If you're in a clan, as long as somebody in your clan logs in for 5 minutes, your base is still okay. That way, if some of your clan members built the base but they haven't logged back in yet, it doesn't delete the base out from under the rest of the clan. So if you have a clan mate, as long as one person in your clan gets on for 5 minutes, your base is secure. Or if you're solo, as long as you get on for 5 minutes, your base is secure. Just please spread the word. Remember that it's causing a lot of false help. I got raided. Somebody deleted my base tickets, and it's just not the case. You just all you gotta do is log in for 5 minutes. I mean, I know how it is. It's just a game, and we all have real life jobs and families and stuff like that. But I mean, hell, log yourself in for 5 minutes while you're going to take a shit or something, and then log back out. It's just, if it means that much to you to save your base. If it doesn't matter, then whatever, let it get deleted. It's not that big of a deal. Just, I want to kind of squash the help I got raided tickets. So fade with it. I swear to God, I'm about to spawn 7 hordes on you. Okay, so moving on to the next one. My next note just says base size and base quantity. You all are literally killing us. That just goes back to the entity conversation I had earlier. Can we please get the number of bases and the size of the bases under control? I'm going to tell you right now, if that really, really, really bothers you, like you really want to have 5 bases and you really want them to all be big, go to the light server, we are being much more lenient on things on the light server because it's the light server, and your entities are not going to kill us as bad because there's not 1,300 players, per wipe over there like there are. Yeah, I know. Now all the light server people are mad at me, but you know what I'm saying. I don't have to be as anal on the light server as I do on the main server. On the main server, every single thing you put onto your base is one step closer to us just being swallowed with entities. So just please be considerate about the number of bases you have. I mean, I've seen people, a solo player, have a base, and then like half a grid away, he's got a tower, and then half a grid from that, he's got a farm. And it's like, and they're all huge, and half the floors are just empty. They're just these giant shells. Like, come on, we don't need to do all that.
We
Speaking
are
of
also going to be updating some of our stuff on base examples, so
yes,
that will be a little bit better for people.
Yeah, we're gonna actually post. We're working on a guide for you guys of, it has to do with like the external TCs, what's acceptable, what's not acceptable, base sizes, and all that. We're gonna actually make like a visual guide, so hey, you can look at the list of pictures of screenshots and say, okay, I see T said that it's okay if we do something like this and something like that. Also, just so you guys know, and this is an official stance too, that we actually talked about in our staff meeting a couple nights ago, is we are now officially going to be more lenient with all this stuff the further off the beaten path you are. So in other words, if I find Simplify built this massive shell of a compound, but it's out on an iceberg in the middle of the ocean away from everybody, I'm probably going to just ignore it. Whereas if I find, someone else like Briscoe builds a giant clan compound, Briscoe, right in a populated area where the rivers and roads meet, where everybody in the world wants to build their bases, then we're probably going to crack down on that. So if you want to push the rules, push them near the edge of the map where nobody's at. And I promise you, we're probably, it's the perfect GIF, Briscoe. Anyway, do it near the edge of the map, and I promise you, you're going to get a lot more leniency and probably just get ignored. If you do it where everybody's building, we're going to be real strict and anal about it.
Just add one little thing. Um, if you've got like a lot of things you need to do, like someone said, I need a house for my horse. Absolutely, I think that's viable. But the thing is, like, you can always just build multiple floors. I put down our clan garden, and so I've got 18 plots. I always just stack it, so my house is 3x3 instead of much bigger. So just consider the lateral footprint that you guys have as well, because you're forcing people out of that area when you build like that. So there's a lot of different ways that you can build that aren't so space grubby. And like Jack said, we're going to put some examples up so you guys have an understanding of what we want. There was a policy change recently about how we'll allow external TCs to be put down. Someone had a really good example this wipe that we actually put in the announcement, so you can take a look at that. We want people to not have to worry about people being on their case and on their butts, but again, keep in mind where you are. If you're on a road, chances are there's going to be a lot of neighbors. If you're next to a river or between a bunch of monuments, you're going to have a lot of neighbors. Maybe instead do a TP spot and, and then put your proper house somewhere else. If you're playing, a lot, if you're a vet, you've got enough homes to accomplish that. You really do.
Yeah, actually, yeah, if you're a vet, I mean, my God, you've got unlimited warps and everything. You can get around the map. There's no reason to have to build right there in the middle of the map where everybody builds. So yeah, like we said, we're going to rehash and we'll be a lot more lenient the further out you go. All right, so I'm going to move on to my next one. We'll probably end up touching on base stuff a little bit later again too. Bradley camping towers need to stop. And that just goes right back to you don't need 50 bases and we don't need 300,000 entities. Stop with the Bradley bases, please. The people doing it, you know who you are. I'm not going to call you out. That's rude, but please stop. If you need, not to be a jerk, but if you need a base to fight a Bradley, you probably need to get some Bradley practice. Like you can fight them from behind a hill or a rock or just in the open. They're not that hard.
Worst case scenario, if you do need them, take them down.
Yeah, just slash remove them when you're done. Do something. So, but yeah, stop with the Bradley towers. We're going to start just deleting those. We're not going to even talk to you about it first. We're just going to delete them. They're pretty obvious when they're Bradley towers. That wasn't even a thing until recently. I don't know why it suddenly became a thing, but please stop. If I have to get our plugin developer to recode the Bradley so it can actually damage bases like fully to where they just get leveled, then I'll do that to stop those. So please stop the Bradley bases. Yeah.
That would
But
actually be
I-
epic.
Yeah. So, and also we, on that note, I may actually have this further in my notes, but I might as well hit it now. Is I think we are working on trying to devise a way to do Bradley cooldowns just like raid bases have. Because let's face it, some of you guys are just getting way too greedy and forgetting that there are, 1,300 other people that join the server per wipe that want to play too. So we are working on that right now. I have a whole list of things that we're working on in progress that I'm going to touch on in a little bit here, but that's one of them. In the meantime, though, for those of you that are having trouble with the Bradleys, like I said, the light server, a lot easier to get stuff done. And I know the light people are going to cuss me out for bringing that up again.
For you, T.
Hold on, I gotta look at my notes because my next note says entity counts and people doing shit like this. So I'm going to assume I put a screenshot in there. Let me go back and glance at my notes real quick here. Yeah. Okay, so if this is your base, I promise you I'm not trying to call you out or embarrass you. So my note says entity counts and people doing shit like this. And here's the screenshot. I want to say there's probably a more efficient way to do that without so many entities. So can we please get a control on the entity counts? Yeah. So yeah, I don't really need to say much else on that screenshot. You can just look at it. Oh, this is funny. We just kind of touched on this. If you construct something for a one-off fight, Bradley, zombie horde, whatever, clean up after yourself, or the admins are going to start placing those entities in front of your base right at your door so you cannot remove it and get out of your base. Some of you may have already been a victim to that. We've already started doing that. So if you leave your trash laying around, we're going to bring it back to your house for you, and you're not going to like where we put it. It's not to be a dick. It's just to remind you people to clean up after yourself, please. Entities are a serious problem when you have 1,300 players per wipe. That's just, there's no getting around that. All right, moving on to the next one here. Oh, I was going to give tips on what settings you can lower to help your frames when it comes to such a crowded and entity-rich server. So I'll do this real fast. So if you're following along, you better follow along quick because I don't want to waste time in the meeting doing this. But here. So, and this actually came from FaceBunch. People telling me which ones are pretty high impact and can be lowered without too much detriment to your quality. So if you go under image effects in your settings, the tab called image effects, pretty much everything on there can get turned off. That's all they. It's funny that the dev that was telling me this said it's all just pretty much Instagram filters. So you can turn all that shit off. And all of them are pretty hard hitting. Under graphics, they said the biggest problems are particle quality, parallax mapping, anisotropic blah 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 filtering, whatever the fuck that is. And then things like those three, particle quality, the parallax, and the anisotropic, whatever. Those are the three big ones that really hit hard that will not even make hardly any noticeable effect to your game at all. Like you won't really notice any graphical difference. They said also that tree and shadows and grass, that kind of stuff makes a huge difference too, but you would notice that difference. So you can still lower those if you're still having issues. But you will actually see a difference with that. But the parallax and the ano whatever filtering, they said you can lower those a lot and you really won't see any difference at all, but it will make a huge difference in your frames per second. So just want to kind of give that tip out there real quick. Ultimately, if you got a shit computer, it's not going to really matter what you do. But
just to say as well, if you missed all that, this meeting is being recorded, so you can just watch it back once it's uploaded.
Yeah, exactly. Perfect. So yeah, and again, if you have a crap computer like my laptop, I have to mail my data packets. My laptop's so laggy. Like I have to put them in an envelope and send them to the server with a stamp. Like it's just so laggy. I can't do shit. So if you have a crappy computer, there's not much you can do about it. All right. So moving on down. I got to get a new push to talk button. It always scrolls my cursor and I lose my place. Oh, projects being worked on. Okay. Guess we're going to talk about those now. So as I told you, we're working on Bradley timers. We're working on a massive NPC raid base overhaul, which I'm going to probably hand the stage over to Aliana later on in the meeting because she's going to have a lot to say about that. It's pretty incredible, and there's a lot of people in here that probably weren't at the last time we talked about those. So I'll let her give a big overview of that. It's going to be an awesome thing. But we'll do that later in the meeting. We're also working on a new loot locking plugin. I know there's issues with ours sometimes not working here and there. We have paid many hundreds of dollars to have a completely brand new, rewritten from top to bottom, from scratch, loot locking plugin for us. It's actually not only going to do what we already do, which is the Bradleys and Hellies, it's also going to do locked crates. If you start the timer, it's going to do, it's even going to do NPCs. If you shoot a scientist, only you can loot it, that kind of stuff. Or people in your team, stuff like that too. But you know what I'm saying. It's going to handle more than just Bradley and Helly. So that'll be nice once it gets done. It's been in the works for a while now, but yes, and it'll work for anything. Zombies, NPCs, just anything you can loot, it'll work for. So it'll be pretty cool. Another thing we're working on is zombie hordes being able to raid you when you're online. I came up with this idea. It was one of those laying in bed at night, can't sleep type things. I pitched my idea to our developer, and he said it sounds pretty possible and is going to start working on it. The way my idea went was there'll be config options, allow aggro on online players or offline players. I personally would default it to just online players. I'm going to also have another config option, maximum building grade that they can harm. I would probably set that to wood, which means if you have a sheet metal base, they can't harm it. But if you have a wood base or wood doors, they can start beating on that shit. And, so if you try to hide from a zombie horde inside your base, they're going to start chainsawing your shit down. I think that is going to be epic. So I can't wait. If you thought my hordes were bad enough, they're going to get worse. I also told him I don't want them to be able to damage foundations, because as fun as it'll be having a zombie chop your wall down and come at you, it would not be cool to have them foundation wipe you. So we're not going to let them do that. Yeah, we might set it.
We want to scare you people. We don't want to sit there and run you off.
Yeah, you got to think everything we do, we have to have a fine balance between, oh, this is cool, it's going to make the server challenging, to do we really want 75 support tickets per day? So we have to find the balance between the two. So I think wood might be good, because I don't want to see the support tickets of like zombies chainsawing people's stone walls down. So yeah, they can already destroy twig. They do it all the time, just with the grenades. But yeah, they'll be able to do it with their actual weapons someday soon. That's what we're working on right now. And it's costing us a pretty penny. So just know your donation dollars are hard at work. And if your name is Fade, I'm gonna make them so they can just destroy anything. So all right, so moving on to the next. Oh, this is from, yeah, okay. So we do not allow you to build pre-PvP day raid towers at people's bases. Someone took the liberty of doing that last wipe, and that is a big no-no. While technically it's not written into the rules, it is technically falls under the rules of exploiting, because you're exploiting the PvE mode of the game to do something that you shouldn't be able to do. You see what I'm saying? You're abusing the fact that we're in PvE and the person can't stop you from doing it to build an attack base on their base, so that a couple hours later when it turns to PvP, now you have the advantage, and that's not fair. That's exploiting. you're exploiting the PvE rule set to do something that you shouldn't be able to do. So don't do that. We take that pretty seriously. That's borderline griefing, and that's some bullshit, honestly.
Also falls under the rule of don't be a dick.
Yeah, that too. No, the story with Fade with it is earlier when I was on the light server. He asked if one of the topics at the meeting would be how much he dies to zombie hordes. So it's going to be the main topic of the meeting all night tonight. Fade with it dies to zombie hordes a lot. All right, so moving on. We're actually getting through this quicker than I thought, so that's good. Oh, discuss the difference between Bandit Camp minis and veteran minis. So yeah, we had these perks long before Face Punch converted the minis to something you buy at the Bandit Camp. We cannot control the Bandit Camp ones, period. They're just vanilla minicopters. There's nothing we can do about it. We can't lock them. We don't slow their decay down. I mean, obviously we could do all those things with plugins, but we don't have plugins that, and we're not adding more. So those helis are vanilla. They can be stolen. They decay. There's nothing I can do about that. I've had other people. Actually, we had someone rage quit the server over this because, and he filed 3 chargebacks on me too. So nice. But we had someone rage quit the server. But well, then you should knock down the personal minicopters that veterans get so that everybody can get them, because it's not fair that everybody else has to get Bandit Camp ones that can decay or be stolen, but veterans get ones that get the lock to them. Well, it is fair because it's called a freaking perk, dude. That's the whole purpose of a perk. Like, nobody's going to want to play for 60 hours to get veteran or donate to get veteran if there's not something involved in it. We have to have perks. If everybody had them, they would no longer be perks. Same thing with no durability. I mean, let's face it, the veterans got some pretty cool perks. I'm not going to nerf those perks. So just understand that. If you spawn your own mini, it's got all those special features. If you get a mini from Bandit Camp, there's nothing I can do about it. The same with the horses from the barns and the boats from the fishing villages. Those are vanilla. Nothing we can do about it. Exactly. Nessus has a good point. If everyone is special, then nobody is. Okay, so moving on down. When you're using support bot, please make sure your nickname in Discord matches your in-game name, or we will not have any clue who you are. You can change your nickname in our Discord right now just by right-clicking yourself. Even in this chat channel, just right-click yourself and hit change nickname. It does not affect you in any other Discords. It doesn't change anything on your Discord account. It doesn't do anything. All it does is when you submit a support ticket, we can see that nickname so we know who you are in-game, and that's one step closer to coming to help you. You don't know how many times people are reporting something and we're trying to get out there to witness it so we can do something about it, like, stealing their loot on the oil rig. But if we don't know who you are, we can't get out there to you.
And with that being said, guys, it's very beneficial. You do get a Discord kit out of it. I mean, and the Discord kit is very nice.
The Discord kit's going away Thursday, so.
Oh, never mind.
way to tease them. Yeah, and also what Bad Idea just said, which is a good idea, is also you need to let us know what server you're in. We have technically 3 servers. So we get a lot of support tickets where people just help. Well, you need to tell me more than just help. And then they're like, someone's stealing my loot on oil rig. Okay, well, your name is not showing up in the player list. Oh, well, that's not my name. My name is actually this. Okay, well, I still don't see you. Oh, I'm on the light server. It's like, dude, I could have been out there 10 minutes ago. So tell us your name, tell us what server you're on, or change your nickname so it matches, but tell us what server you're on and tell us what you need. You saying help does not tell us anything. You saying admin TP to me doesn't do anything but get me to kick a puppy. So just tell us what you need. We're not mind readers, and we are extremely busy, extremely busy. When the other staff tonight talk about the skin project and the raid base project, you'll understand we are very busy people. You're a cat person. I'd kick a cat quicker than I'd kick a puppy, so I don't know about that. Okay, how about this? I got a solution for all of this. If you don't help us with those support tickets, if you say admin TP to me, I'm going to kick a Pookie.
No, don't do that.
Mic drop.
Excuse me.
I already shoot one every
Pookie,
day.
Pookie lives matter.
Mic drop.
Pookies don't have souls.
All right, so moving on to the next one. Land claiming, what it is and what we do about it. So actually, this is the main topic we had in our staff meeting, was to make sure all my admins and some of the newer staff were on the same page as what is going on with land claiming. So there's two ways you can be considered land claiming. One is, and this is actually a perfect map for examples. One is plopping down stuff in a prime location just to hold it. When you plop stuff down, we give you 24 hours to build a base, or we're going to nuke it if it's in a prime location. And what prime locations would be, and again, this map is a perfect example, like those little pyramids with the glass, or the the custom glass build bunkers, the butthole. Yeah, those are all prime locations. Things that are not normal, just open space, are prime locations. Caves, stuff like that. Even some islands, like if you find one of them little tiny islands that you can build just one base on, those are prime locations too. If you claim one of those with a TC, you better get a base up in 24 hours. We do have ways of knowing when you first started building there, and we will just delete them without even talking to you first. So do not claim a prime location if you're not going to build on it that day.
This also means, don't go claim like 6 of them, because you're like, I don't know which one I'm going to build in. Go for
or try to sell them.
Yeah, if we see those, all the spots will disappear. Every single one of them. I don't care.
You know who you are. If I see you trying to sell prime locations of players, that's some bullshit. That's greedy. Just be kind, you guys. I'm putting more and more of these on every map now, because I've come to realize you guys really like these cool build spots. So like the new map Splatter, I just went in there. I spent this entire week adding more of these custom build spots to it because you guys are just loving them. So I'm trying, but you got to share, and you can't be a douche and fly around and claim them all on the first day. That's not fair. So be kind. Another way you can claim land is by spreading out, plopping down a bunch of TCs all around in a big wide open area, or putting high walls with enough empty space between them and your base where you could build 5 more bases. That's just not going to happen. We can't be claiming up all the land like that. So pretty much all I have to touch on with that one. So the next one, we are hiring sentinels. I think she just trained up 2 more tonight, didn't you, Eliana?
Did.
Okay, cool. So we just got 2 more sentinels, but I think we could probably do with another 1 or 2. If you're interested, hold on, I got a cough. I promise it's not the Rona. Okay, if you're interested, just go read the announcement. We have an announcement about it, right, Aliana?
Not that I'm aware of.
Oh, my bad. Okay, well, if you're interested, get with Aliana later. Not right now. We're way too busy during the meeting to deal with that. Just hold on, I got the Rona. Just know that we are taking a few more sentinels on board. All that really means is you just answer dumb questions from players. It's not that hard, but it helps us a lot. It takes a lot of burden off our backs. Let's see. My next note says, would you all please stop shoving things into my butthole? So it's not a landfill. Every day I log in, there's just cars thrown in there and everything. You guys are nuts. You guys trip me out. Okay. My next note, I think we kind of already touched on this, so I'll just read the note, and I don't know if there's really much maybe the other admins have something to add to it or not, but I'll just read the note. Discuss the very successful last admin event. Also discuss with the players why we as admins are so mean. Oh, so mean when we are working these events. In other words, if you stepped on the island and I told you I was going to ban you for 2 hours, or these events take a huge amount of coordinated effort to run. So getting 100 Rust players to cooperate without trolling each other is something worthy of an executive resume. And if any of you were at that last admin event, it literally should go down in Rust history that we had 100 people sitting still at that event like that. It's unheard of in Rust. So it takes a lot of work. The amount of work we put into these admin events like that is just through the roof. If you were in staff channel in Discord while we're doing these events, I mean, it's it's crazy. It's a lot of work. So just please understand, I'm not trying to be a dick when I'm yelling at you to get off the island or, doing this and that. Like we're trying to manage 15 things at once. We're trying to, coordinate things. We're trying to, honestly, when we talk about you guys like that, we call it herding cats. We're trying to herd 100 cats at once. It's just, it's hard work. It really is. I guarantee none of you have ever seen that many people in Rust come together at the same time and cooperate, and behave and not start trolling and doing stupid shit. Like it's something I thought was impossible, honestly, until we did it. Yep, there's the screenshot. So just bear in mind, we're not trying to be assholes when we get real strict and we bark at you during those events. It's just real difficult and takes a lot of coordination from us. And so I don't know if any other staff want to add to that. That was a great event, by the way.
I mean, the other thing is we want you guys to have fun. Some of these events, like Maz was working on that base for like 3 days. So that insanity that you guys pushed into, that Maz rocketed 9 people with, you broke multiple heavy helmet plates of ours in multiple situations. It takes time, and it's not that we want to shoo you guys away necessarily, but at the same side of it's like, guys, give us time to get the event going, and then go, then have fun. But when we do see the minis sitting there hovering over as I'm like going, are they going to leave sometime soon so I can finish putting up turrets? Because, I really don't want them to see me building, see the invisible builder and vanish right now, because I'm trying not to do this with people seeing me. This is why we get a little frustrated too. But on the flip side of it, holy fuck, people, that was awesome.
Yeah, I just want to add to that. It was amazing. Thank you for everyone who showed up. It did take a lot of work to put together, and what made me appreciate it was the amount of people that showed up and showed how much they wanted my head, T's head, Aliana's head, and the death of the admins. But seriously, thank you so much for showing up. It was epic. And
sorry. I was going to say Pancake. Yeah, we had a zone up that kept players out, but we, it takes a lot of configuration to get that zone ready for the actual event. So I have to turn a lot of stuff off and turn a lot of stuff on and get it all set up and configured. So that close to the event time, I had to open the zone up, which is why I was yelling at people to get the hell out of there. But sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I would like to thank all the players for being incredibly patient with everything after the end of the raid. All of you guys were so amazing when it came to the end of that and sorting out all the rewards for everyone, the prizes. It was so flawless when it came to that. You guys, amazing.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was about to just say again. It's just like, to this day, I don't think I will ever in my life see a more coordinated thing in Rust. Like it's unheard of in this game. I was showing it off to some of the devs and some of the big names in Rust, and they were just like, how the hell did you get that many players to sit still? Like it's incredible how well that event went that night, and I had a lot of fun. I really did. It was a great battle. Even how laggy it got at the end there. Which, by the way, I'm sorry. Just you guys do understand that there's no way, or any Rust server, no matter what the specs are, could handle that big of a scale of a battle without some lag. So I'm sorry about that, but it's just impossible. But man, that was an incredible event. Absolutely incredible. That was probably the most fun I've ever had in Rust. So good job, players. That was on you guys, because you didn't have to cooperate that well, and you did. So thank you.
Pretty sure the server caught on fire that day.
Yeah, it definitely was smoking. I don't think we have any videos of that event. We should have streamed it, honestly. I didn't even think about it.
I think at the time all of us were participating, so no one was available to do like a cinematic.
Yeah, because you would have just saw me getting domed a bunch if I streamed it. So, all right. My next note says, Stress. You were absolutely right about that. By the way, our community. If you're new to these servers, by the way, in this channel right now, some of our vets in here will tell you, this community is absolutely insane. Like how good of a community we have here. It's incredible to me when I see people, quit the server like, oh, it's so toxic. I'm like, are you serious? Like, you may have had a bad run-in with somebody, but I promise you have not spent enough time here.
Or you haven't spent enough time on regular Rust servers to see what really is.
To see the difference. Right, yeah. Yeah. So yeah, it's like climbing out of a sewer and then complaining about a diaper smell. Like, dude, you just it's just no comparison. My next note says spotlights purposely shining into other people's bases. Stop it. Just stop it. If we end up disabling spotlights, it's on you. So please stop doing that. That's just a douche thing to do. There's absolutely no reason to put a bunch of spotlights and shine them into someone else's base. And it's real blatantly obvious when that's what you're doing. This isn't to say like, oh, I have spotlights, but they weren't. No, it's when you got 4 of them on one side of your base, all pointing at exactly the same point, which is right inside your neighbor's window because you're pissed that they built close to you or something like that. Don't be a dick. Like, just stop, please.
We may have actively, started pointing them in random other directions.
Yeah, just don't do them anyway. Spotlights, those, believe it or not, those spotlights are one of the most frame killing things in the entire game of Rust. Like those things will. You remember a long time ago we had the automatic spotlight plugin track, the one that made them search like back and forth, and people were putting them all over their bases. Man, if you got anywhere near a base that had like 8 of those things, you couldn't even move. Your client would just crash. So those spotlights are a nightmare. So please just stop being a jerk with them. They're not even that good. All right, moving on to the next thing. Yeah, all light effects in this game are extremely heavy. Light effects and foliage are the 2 big ones. Posting explicit content onto signs. Come on, guys, let's grow up a little bit here. You log into the game, you see tits and ass right off the bat. That's just how Rust is. I'm fine with that. You want to post, scantily clad women and stuff like that? Hey, cool. I'm all about it. Or men, if that's your thing. But let's stop with the yeah, we know, Briscoe, you got pictures of me all over your base. Let's stop with the nasty stuff. Come on now. I mean, like, we've had people putting up goatsy, just nasty shit, like, people sex acts and stuff. Like, please grow up. Like, just grow up. There are kids that play this. Hell, my son plays on our server, and he's young, so granted, he could probably teach me something because he's 14, so I'm sure he's a lot worse mind than I have. But anyway, just be kind. There's kids that play here. There's old people like me that play here. We don't want to see that shit. If you're that hard up for some nastiness, the internet has plenty out there for you, I promise. So again, you want to throw some tits or something up there, whatever. They're in the game anyway. But sex acts and gorish stuff and goatsy level stuff, like, keep that shit off my server. I don't want to see it. All right, so
trust me, if you do, we'll know.
Why we have limits on things like rugs and sign artists and stuff like that. Basically, they cause a lot of lag on client side. There was even a time when someone had so many /SIL in their base that we couldn't even get near the base without timing out. And then when you try to log back in, you time out again. Like, they actually cause a huge amount of lag on player side. They don't harm the server at all. Actually, you can put down 2,000 rugs in your base, and other than the entity count, it's not going to hurt anything on the server, but it's going to destroy players that come anywhere near your base, even if they can't see the stuff. So even if it's on the inside, it destroys them because their client has to render all that shit. It causes a huge problem. So I just wanted you guys to know that's why we limit those things. We don't limit them to be jerks or to be controlling. We limit them because we want everybody to be able to play without having their game crash. All right, let's see. Moving on down. Oh, and my last note, please keep the following channels turned on for notifications. So obviously, I'm assuming most of you do like I do. When you join a Discord server, the first thing you do is just mute the damn server because nobody wants a bunch of stupid Discord notifications, especially in a server like ours that has 7,000 channels. I know this is stupid and annoying to say and ask of you to do, but it would really be useful if you would unmute the server and then go back and just mute the channels individually, because the update log, the announcements channel, and even FAQ and known issues, those 4 channels right there, nobody posts in those channels without clearing it with me first, or it just being me posting. So you're not going to get spammed by having those channels turned on. Those channels are extremely important. I can honestly say that half the questions I answer were probably already answered in one of those 4 channels. So announcements, known issues, update log, and FAQ. Do anything you can do to make those channels notify you when someone posted them, because so much information goes into those. There's basically nothing happens on this server without it going into those channels. You're asking about, oh, why is my skin not working from the workshop? It's already in the known issues channel. You should have looked there first. Same with the FAQs. Why do I have a random door skin on this door? Who skinned my door? It must have been an admin. Go check the FAQ section. So just unmute those 4 channels. Yeah, exactly. So yeah, just do what you can. I promise you, I've got a lot of Discords I'm in, and the first thing I always do is mute the whole damn server. But in this server, if you're going to be a serious player here, just when you get bored one day, take your time, go through there and just mute the ones you don't want, and leave those 4 open because they're extremely important. Extremely important. And that is it from my notes. So now we're going to start at the top of the staff here, which would be the lead admins, and see if they have. We'll let Aliana is long-winded, and I know she has a huge project to talk about, so we'll let her go second. Drac, you got anything you need to bring up?
I mean, you touched upon most of the things I would have poked at, but we're not giving people warnings on walls. If I find your walls out in the world, you're just gonna have them put it in your front door. And then when you're going, well, why can't I get out my front door? The admins are gonna slowly sit there and giggle a little bit. Eventually take the wall down and finger wag at you going, don't leave your walls out. Other than that, no, that's really about it for me.
Okay. Aliana, floor is yours.
Okay. Good news for you guys. I talk really quickly. Bad news. I want to repeat just a couple of things that T brought up, which are personal pet peeves. Drac also just touched on it. Stop leaving random playables, and it's not just walls. The headstones, the random, like raid base things, the giant towers people put up. Those are all things that will get moved in front of your base. We've spent about 6 wipes now. No, I'm sorry, 6 force wipes now. Leaving notes and being nice about it. We see repeat offenders. It's hard for us to track who we've talked to and who we haven't. It's just going to get put in front of your house now. And the same thing kind of goes towards the entity count. I tend to build really large myself, and I really kind of have tried to pull even back my own builds, even though they've paled in comparison to a lot that I've seen. One of the big things is people just look with the empty space. More often than not, I see these massive houses, and I go in, and there's just wide floors. There's floors that have nothing on them completely. Consider the size of your building and what it's actually serving, please. Just because this isn't a build server, we have one of those, and if you do have the desire to just build extremely, big and everything, there's a place for that in the light server. Having to go through and clean the map is taking hours and hours of staff time, and that's time that we cannot be doing into events which we want to be doing. So just keep that in mind, please. One thing I want to touch on is the save issue, and we've had a couple times now where we've seen pretty nasty rollbacks. T put a new thing in where your airdrops just go poof in front of you, which is really nice because it turns out that every time that there was a server event in progress, meaning cargo, helicopter, or the airdrops, it was not saving when it was trying to. And so we had another one of those this last month, and I just want to remind people, be conscientious when you're calling helis. Don't spam them back to back to back. Our server needs to find a gap to save, and if it can't find that gap to save, it's not going to save. And then if something horrible happens, like a crash, we just are going to get screwed. So
Let
keep
me
that in
let me
mind.
pause you real quick with those crashes. By the way, I meant to put that in the meeting notes and I didn't. Those are every single crash now in the last last year. Back when the server first started, we had plugin crashes and stuff happen all the time because we were getting everything set up and configured. But we haven't had a plugin, even an error from a plugin, other than on Force Wipe Day. Obviously, on Force Wipe Day, we have tons of errors, but we haven't had an error from a plugin in probably 7 months. Every crash since has been physics Unity engine crash, which is nothing we can do about it. It's just the engine they use for Rust. Every server owner bitches about them. They used to actually happen 2-3 times a week. So happening once or so a month is actually not that bad. But like she was saying, in Facepunch's infinite wisdom, they decided that instead of trying to figure out how to save the server save with a moving object like a cargo plane or a heli or a cargo ship to just have the server not save at all if one of those things is happening. So that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life. But it explains how we were having hour-long rollbacks and T is screaming at you people saying it's impossible, the server saves every 5 minutes, there's no way, or that explains why. Because if any cargo plane, which is a supply drop plane, or any cargo ship or any heli was on the map, the server just said, oh, can't save now, we'll just try next time. So to help with that situation, I lowered the server saves from 15 minutes to 5 minutes, so it tries more often. And as you all know, I've made supply signals. I just threw our developer some cash to recode the supply signals so that they just pop instantly now instead of calling a plane. So hopefully that gives us a good remedy next time we have a Unity physics engine crash, that at least we won't roll back as far, because now the server should not be skipping its saves as often, because that's just the dumbest way to do things I've ever heard. But nothing I can do about it. So back to you, Aliana.
Like, one thing on that though too is, if it happens, folks, probably we lost just as much stuff as, if not, the person next to you. There's 100+ people in the server. We can't exactly go through everybody and be like, okay, and you lost what, and you lost what. There's a reason we kind of just blanket go, guys, we can't. The amount of hours in work and that would be is absolutely ridiculous. So just realize we're doing everything we can, and it's not that we hate you people and don't want to give you your stuff back. It's there's going to be so much work to do that literally, we won't be doing anything else for the rest of the night.
For the rest of the week, what are you talking about?
I was being generous.
It's insane amount of work. So yeah, like you said, I hate to be that way, but that's our official stance on that. And trust me, it's funny because the admins, some of the staff and admins, can we do something? No, our official stance is we can't help you. If the server crashes and you lose stuff, some people actually gain stuff when it crashes. If it crashes, that's just all there is to it. It's nothing we did. It's nothing you did. Just deal with it. Let's be honest. This server is easy. Let's be honest. If the server rolled back a whole hour, you can easily get all that shit back in plenty of time. The server is not that hard to play on. So I'm sorry when it does happen. There's nothing we can do about it. Like Drac just said, our official stance is we will not do anything about it. If you die from it, like say it crashes and it comes back online, and you were flying a mini or something, or you log back in and a Bradley splats you, obviously we'll help you with the death. But when it comes to missing gear or stuff, we can't help you. I'm sorry.
And I'll remind you guys what I said in the last meeting if you weren't there, or if you've forgotten it. Just because the backpack files save separately, that's why some people come out ahead and some people don't. Try not to be in the habit of moving your entire boom collection in and out of your bags all the time, because in the worst possible case that happens, you might end up with it doubled, or you might end up with all of it gone. So just keep that in mind. There's not a lot of use cases to carrying around the entire stack of boom that you've got, or the most important collectibles you've got. Okay, so I also want to kind of just double check or touch back on the prime build locations. It's really exciting seeing these in the map. I hope that we can all play fair with them. T-Bird touched a lot on that. Just kind of making sure everyone fully understands when it comes to like building there. He mentioned if you're not going to build out, then don't build there at all. And just so you know, we know when you guys put your TCs down, we're trying to give you ample time. If we see a house that's just a house and maybe there's like a box in there and that's it gets deleted after 24 hours. It's not something against you. It's just something to keep people from tying up the location. Point in fact, there's a pyramid on main right now that has had 4 different land claims in it over the course of the wipe. And that means nobody has actually lived there over the course of the wipe. And that just sucks because it's one of the coolest places to build. And unfortunately, nobody got a chance to live there. And there's another prime location that's on the map that has nobody living in it right now because the person who was there never built it out. And it's just gone now. So, and now we're one day before PvP, and it's probably a bit too late for most people to get fully solidified, whereas they could have lived there the entire wipe. So don't be selfish. If it's something that you don't have time to do or you need to go farm, I say it every single force wipe, farm, then build, do that. And it's not enough to be like, well, I just didn't have the mats when you have a whole other base on the map. So we know that, we can see that. We're not being mean. We're just trying to do what we need to do and move along. It's not a targeted thing. Also keep in mind for the force wipe, last force wipe, we had kind of some hiccups. I always post reminders right before them, things like don't get started too soon. Do keep that in mind because last time people got kind of screwed over, a handful of them, because they didn't heed the warnings and the worst case scenario happened. And hopefully that doesn't end up becoming something that we ever see again. I've never seen it happen except for last wipe where we had to rewipe, but people lost their supply drops and things like that. So remember, we always ping the channel when the server comes back up and we're all stable. Until then, don't do anything you don't want to lose. Put everything in your backpack. Keep your stuff safe so that you don't end up losing it because we don't replace it. One thing I want to bring up is players PMing admins. I really love interacting and chatting with people. I really do. And in cases where I can't get on mic, PMing is really important for me to work with people who have put tickets in the correct way. But please try to not DM admins directly when you need help. If there's something that's a problem, ask in all chat, because the thing is, if it's something that's a general answer, it can inform other people if we're talking about it openly. And if it's something that needs direct assistance and you're just trying to catch the admin who's on, we've got support bot and there's a whole team of us. We have all these side projects going, like Tia mentioned. A lot of times there are a lot of us on, but all of us are engaged in stuff. And so support bot's really your best bet to get the most available admin to you. And it also robs some of our other staff of opportunities, learning opportunities as well. We've got new staff like T-Bird mentioned. And when you are constantly engaging one admin, you're taking that opportunity away from the other admins and the staff who need to see those kinds of examples as part of their training. And T-Bird's right. We actually have the ability now to turn it off because we had one player who continually kept PMing people even after asked to stop. I chose to keep mine on because I'd like to interact with people. But, if people are DMing me asking for help, I've been ignoring them, so just keep that in mind. Not calling anyone specifically out, not anybody at all. Okay, so yeah, I wanted to talk about the side projects that T-Birds really want me to get to, and just some of the extra stuff that we've been working on. I know Drac is going to have a big piece in this, and some of our other staff as well. But before I do, I just kind of want to talk about the overall workload of admins. You know, the people who play here and have played here, you guys all know. I mean, we really work hard. We do. There's a lot of stuff that we try to do, and we want to kind of keep things fresh and do all that stuff. When we put events on, like the admin raid that we had this last weekend, there were just a couple of people. It's nobody in particular that I really want to call out or cause problems for, but they were just kind of surly with us about it. Like it was really inconvenient for them that the admin raid was going on and that we didn't have our raid bases on during that time. The big admin versus players raid is kind of a rare thing. I want to thank those of you guys who are always on our side and rush to our defenses, and it's really appreciated to have so many people who understand our goal and what we're working towards. So thank you for that, and just understand that it's not the end of the world if we need to focus on an event that you don't really like. There'll be other events that maybe you do like, and that's kind of the whole point of our server, is to be something that's just unique and different. And because of that, there's PvP type of events and there's PvE type of events. And if you've got event ideas, feel free to bring them up to us. We don't want anybody to just be completely left out, but there's no need to just complain endlessly when we put something up that you don't care for. Okay, so side projects. So we talked about this last force wipe, and it's something that is been a huge undertaking. Today, our current raid bases, we've got a huge catalog, and there's some room to be improved in our existing catalog. Not all bases are created equal. Some of our easy bases are far too hard. Some of our easy bases are maybe too easy for the current benchmark of where easy bases are. You guys have noticed for a while now, when you do the buy raid command, there's 2 new difficulties, and we really want to get built up into that. We had our first test of a nightmare base this wipe, and it's a monster. Mackler built it, and he's a nightmare himself, so it's only fitting that he would just put this horrible killer base down. And I don't even know if anybody actually successfully raided it, but it's scary. We're still working on fully developing all that out, and I kind of explained last time the process that we're going through and why it's taking so long is we've got to go through each individual base, and in some cases we're removing those bases, in some cases we're retooling them, and some of them we're actually moving them into new difficulties. Going forward, our goal is for easier bases to be easy, super easy, prim rateable. and for hard bases to be borderline hard, but not so hard that they would be in the expert or nightmare category. Part of that has been us adding new bases. And I put a post out in our announcements recently about how we do accept base submissions. Somehow this channel was turned off for some people, so it's been re-added. And so if you want to build bases, feel free to. Feel free to submit them. We've got our build server. Just a couple of notes. Make sure that you put enough upkeep in there to give us time to go and save it, because there's some bases that I don't know if what just happened, but they just weren't there when I got to check them out and whatever. So just keep that in mind. You can put as much upkeep in it as you need to, but we need time to go get it. Also, put some details about how you need to build them, whether you need to load turrets, et cetera, et cetera. So feel free to build bases. We're not giving a full list of our benchmarks of what we're doing here, but you're always welcome to reach out. T-Bird hates getting pinged on Discord. I don't. So feel free to ping me directly, and we can talk about it if you've got questions. I know that we're very close to getting done through our existing catalog, and then after that, it's just a matter of introducing new bases in the other difficulties, and also retooling the loot tables, because that's something that has to happen. And we had kind of a discussion about this, and kind of had to reiterate the whole thing that T-Bird always says, which is raid bases aren't loot pinatas. If an easy base is prim rateable, you shouldn't be getting C4 from it. And I don't really feel like that's up for a lot of people to disagree with in the line of our thinking there. But it's just a matter of we're trying to retool things based upon what you would expect in that category. And part of that is making sure the bases that are in that category are similar in regards to what you can expect going into them. So it's a big undertaking, and I know I just said a whole bunch of words. You guys will get a chance to see it live as soon as we're able to get there. We're nearing it very soon. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw it go live this month.
Let me touch on something that legit just kind of made me think of. The way the raid bases work right now is easies. No matter what the base actually is, easies automatically convert to wood and stone. Mediums automatically convert to stone and metal, and hards automatically convert to metal and armored. There's no logic behind it. It just literally, as it's forming the base, it randomly picks walls and floors to make stone or metal or whatever the difficulty is. So there's no rhyme or reason to it. The way she's remaking all this stuff is they're actually going to be real bases. Like if the base is meant to be wood, it's going to be wood. If it's meant to be stone, it'll be stone. So they're going to be legit bases, not just randomly upgraded walls. And you're not going to find a wood base with an armored door. Basically, she's reworking all those bases to the way they should be. So.
Yeah, and that's part of what's taking so long. There are literally bases that I have to go through sometimes where I have to change every single wall type, and in a lot of those cases, it was not worth me doing. And so we're actually cutting our raid library down by about 50%, which I'll be working to refill that as we have gone live and have had a chance to kind of get everything working. And that's where you guys can come in. I mean, I've got some really special bases that I put some TLC into. I think that you guys will enjoy them, and I hope you will. And maybe it will inspire you guys to submit some of your own unique and special designs. What I'd like to move away from is the boring 2x2 type of raids. I removed a lot of those, just because we already see the 2x2s. I mean, it's Rust, and everyone has a 2x2. So we want things that are unique, and we want things that are exciting when people enter them, and it should be more of an experience and less of a chore. So anyway,
Fitz just said no more medium juggernauts. The way she's actually done this, and this isn't publicly available, but she actually went through and spent an ungodly amount of time making an entire. First of all, she got our entire library of bases and did a spreadsheet with the total cost to raid each base. The perfect way and then the normal player way. And we're actually setting guidelines to each tier of difficulty that each base is going to have to meet. In other words, if we say it takes this much C4 to get through easy bases, then anything that has more C4 requirement to get through is not going to be an easy base. You know what I'm saying? Like, she actually has an entire spreadsheet of this to calculate the raid cost of every single NPC raid base, so that we can make sure they're all on the same playing field, and reworking the loot tables up and down. So don't get too excited. Some of them are going down. The easy bases are going to be a little bit weaker with the loot, but they're also going to be weaker bases. They're going to kind of get you equipped so that you can tackle medium bases. And then the medium bases are going to kind of get you equipped so that you can tackle hard bases, and so on. So we're really going to scale the bases and the loot so they match better now. you're not going to get a pile of C4 out of an easy. But at the same time, it's going to be a lot easier to raid an easy. So
Yeah, and a lot of that stuff is still kind of up in the air. I mean, we'll talk about, I mean, like Nightmare and Expert, we'll talk about what kind of RP costs are involved there. We'll talk about, what our goals there. And T-Bird kind of covered it before, but just to reiterate for anyone who hasn't been involved in any of the discussions. So, Nightmare is meant to be kind of a step up from hard. There are some hard bases that, you just don't really want to do because they're painful. That's kind of the wheelhouse for nightmare bases. But
Expert.
there's still yeah, I'm sorry, expert. Expert is the step up from hard bases. There's still something that you can go through feasibly and accomplish, and it's just challenging, but not over the top. So, but there are some people who are just gluttons for punishment, and they want the over the top. They want to feel like they've accomplished something, and that they've got bragging rights for being really really good at rating, and so that's where nightmare comes into play. Our metrics for what we expect on nightmare is pretty much none, in that you can just go buck wild with the exception of turret count just because of server lag. So we want people to have that bragging right and the challenge there of nightmare bases. But it's not in the same way, in the same like wavelength that hard, medium, easy, and expert are going to be. Whereas, it's kind of an expectation of when you enter that they should all be on the same kind of level as, any base in that level should be the same level. If you go into 4 different mediums, your experience should be relatively the same when it comes to difficulty, cost, and experience. So, that's basically the mindset behind it. I mean, it's a whole lot to factor in. I hope you guys will be nice when you inevitably find a flaw that I may have overlooked. And I want to remind everybody that we do have an NPC base channel where you can report that kind of stuff. And hopefully a lot of the bases that we've hated in the past, things that have unnecessary or unreasonable honeycomb, things that are just absolutely punishing that shouldn't belong in the difficulty that there are, hopefully we'll see a lot of that cleaned up with this project. But it just made sense to do it in mass rather than onesie twosies.
So
yeah.
the TLDR of that is she is killing herself, busting her ass to make an entire from scratch new catalog of bases that are more logical with their difficulties and their loot tables, and she is killing it. So it's coming soon. I know I keep saying that. It's coming soon. I promise. She's working every day on this.
And just to say one last thing, it's not just me. Jack and Internal did a lot of work with helping me clean up a lot of the bases. Drack's been going through the loot table stuff, and we're all going to be working it together, the leads and T-Bird. So we'll be cleaning up a lot of that. And Max always great at providing just killer bases. So big thanks to him, and even some of the rest of our staff for onesie twosie submissions to kind of fill out our existing categories. So it's a team effort for sure, and I'm really hopeful and excited to get this stuff in front of you guys as soon as possible. Hopefully sometime this month for sure.
Do you want to hit skins at all?
Oh yeah, just real lightly. I mean, we haven't done a ton of work there. So our current skin system, it's kind of a leftover skin system that a bunch of skins that were existed and added from the skin channel were integrated over to the new skin box plugin. I can't remember exactly why we did it. I think it was because of server load, but we switched to a different plugin, and because of that, it's kind of left us in a situation where if we ever wanted to remove one, it would be kind of very hard for us to ever add it back in. So we've been going through, and me and I am Eternal have been kind of working this project to go through and add all of the skins that we've got into kind of a database. And hopefully once we're done with that, it will enable us to both add a lot more skins and maybe even remove some of the ones that we don't like. We do have a skin suggestion channel. To be fully honest with you, I've not looked over it since I took over as lead admin. I know there's posts there, but the thing is that in order for me to add, I really need to be able to control what exists. And so I've got to do that first. But the hope is that once we've got that, we're going to be able to, pull skins in and pull them out just real fast, and figure out, oh, do people like this one? Okay, take it out. Oh, is it Halloween? Let's add all the Halloween skins back in. Okay, Halloween's over. Let's take them all back out. And we're not going to be doing this blindly or definitely to what we see our players use actively. I know people like the window garage doors. We're not going to get rid of those. We scope these maps out. We know what people like to use. In the event that you have an absolute favorite skin and we remove it, you can just put it in the skin channel. I'd really like to get this one back, and we'll try to make some space for it. But it should be a rotating thing to keep things fresh once again. So, it's something that we're working on. We do have a maximum amount of what we can add. So, in some cases it will be a rotating thing, and in others we'll also have our tried and true that we try to never remove. Like, for example, the blackout skins. I know everyone likes to have those for PvP days. So yeah, a whole lot to do there. Big thanks to I Am Eternal for helping me. We've got a big, massive spreadsheet. It's what, 2,000 rows or something crazy like that?
3,000. It's
3,000
just
rows, yeah.
just under 3,000 skins. In the
Yeah,
plugin.
so before we can really get to that, we need to, like I said, we need to document every single thing. And unfortunately, that's a ton of manual lookup. And so that's what's taking the time. We've got to literally write down every item in game and then go find it on the workshop. That way we can add it back in. Why can't we use skins that we already have? See known issues. Unfortunately, that's something that that we're still waiting on a fix from Face Punch for. All right, and I think that pretty much covers it. Hopefully, that was relatively quick. Drac, if you'd like to proceed.
You're always quick.
So I was gonna say the only thing I thought of while all that was going on is, folks, your heli towers. If you see 47 wooden huts around your heli tower, maybe it's time to move it. If you're going to decide that the heli tower really needs to be built by the river, we're probably going to tell you to move it. Obviously, I understand you may have built the heli tower there, and then 100 people signed in the day after, and all of a sudden you have 100 one-by-one huts around your heli tower. There's not a whole lot I can do about that off the top of my head, but we get tickets all the time. I've dropped a heli on somebody's base. Can you come over here and help? I don't like dealing with those tickets. I really don't, because I don't know what breaks. I don't know what people have lost, other than hey, there's a gray bag in the ground. Oh, well, this is their box of guns. Because the heli part managed to clip through a wall and destroy it. We put a permanent heli tower on the map for this map, and it's actually on the next map also. Build a little one by one near it. Warp there. It is an unbreakable heli tower. Oh, and because someone found this out, and if anybody else does this, I think T fixed the next iteration. Do not lock the doors of the heli tower.
I just took the doors off.
Okay. So do not lock the doors of the heli tower. Someone did that this wipe. Someone went to go use the heli tower. I was like, why is the heli tower doors locked? I'm like, what do you mean they're locked?
I'm going to tell you players in here right now, if you go try the public heli tower, I'm including in the maps from now on. If you just go try it one time, you'll never build a heli tower again. I promise you. The viewpoint is perfect because I've got glass all around. I sound like Trump now. It's perfect. It's perfect. I've got glass all around so you can see exactly where the heli is without getting harmed because he can't shoot through the glass. I mean, it's literally, I promise you, it's the best heli tower you're going to find because you can't build with the same materials I can build with in the map editor. So just go try it out. I promise you won't build a heli tower after that.
The other side of this coin, if you build around that heli tower and someone drops a heli on your base, we don't care.
You guys are awesome with your little Trump memes. Okay. Anything else from the lead admins?
No, thank you. Thank you guys for thanks so many people for showing up to this. It really helps to get a communication out. There's so much to communicate on the server. Thank you guys all for being here. I know this is a while. We really appreciate it.
Actually, and you guys should reflect that back at these lead admins. This isn't to discredit the rest of the admins because they all bust their ass for you guys, but these leads have extra responsibilities that the rest of the staff don't have to have. I mean, a lot of them volunteer for stuff. Eternal's helping with skins. Mac likes to help with the Nightmare basis. So everybody's doing extra stuff. Maz is building our stuff for the events. The list goes on and on. But the problem is the lead admins, they don't have a choice. They have extra duties that they have to do. And I'm telling you, these people work a full-time job for this server, and they're volunteers. That's just insane, the amount of work. Again, the whole staff, not just the leads. But we're talking about the leads right now, so that's why I'm calling them out like this. They put in a ton of work, and we're talking like real life job level of work that they do here. All right, so we're going to move on down to the admins.
I'd like to say something. Mizzou.
Have at it.
Hello, I'm Mazul. No, seriously, hey, I just want to comment one more time on the main admin base thing. It was wicked sick. And the one I don't want to forget to mention the one on the light server. That was a lot of fun. Whoever was on the light server attacking myself and T-Bird, that was a lot of fun. And then also just want to thank everybody from coming to the other events that we've been putting up, i.e. the Maze of Terror or the Maze of Death, the Gladiator Ring, and the car derbies and everything like that. It makes us feel like the work that we're putting in on these events is appreciated. So I'm throwing that out there. I appreciate you guys participating in these events that we put a lot of work into. So thank you.
And I had fun killing you at that last event on the light server.
My
Any other
face still
admins?
hurts.
any other? There was one point where Drac was in a bush shooting arrows at us, and I crept around the tower, and I was like, I'm creeping up on Drac. I'm gonna get him in the head. I popped him in the back of the head. It felt so good.
With the rocket. I love the rocket.
Any other admins need to jump in for anything here? No. Before I move to staff, any admins? Going once, going twice. Okay. Also, let's get on to the staff. Any staff have anything you want to jump in on?
I would actually.
Have at it.
All right, it's Dr. Boomstick. And guys, don't build your bases out of twig. And lock your TCs. I cannot tell you how many bases I've seen that's got nothing but just twig and unlocked TCs. Lock that stuff, please.
Right.
Trust me, it's going to save you some headache if we get some troll running around and just, just being trolly. So lock at TCs and don't build twig.
Which
And,
same side of that coin, for the people that have been here for a while, talking to the new people coming in, thank you, because that does help us out. I don't know how many times we get tickets going, hey, there's just something small. Hey, there's an unlocked TC here. I want to put a lock on it. It's not something we can normally go around and do or know all the time. I'm not saying flood our support bot with hundreds of tickets saying I found an unlocked TC, but still, it helps. It helps keep that new person that doesn't know, that may have sat there and did, just built out and logged out. And it helps
also,
retain one more person.
Don't be a dick and destroy people's twig and stuff. Like we've actually been fighting a war of attrition lately with players. We've been losing players as fast as we've been gaining them. Well, maybe not as fast because the population is exploding, but we've been losing a lot of players recently because people are shooting out their twig or stealing their loot it's just quit being dicks. It does nothing but drive away potential new players. And for all you could have just drove away the next Dream Killers. That's going to do so many nice things for the players that you never would have got to find out now because you drove her away by, shooting out her twig for no reason. Like, just quit being dicks. And again, most of you in this channel don't do that stuff, but it is happening because we see players quitting on a daily basis because of stuff like that. Real quick, now that the staff and admins are done, moving on to the shout outs to them. So I just got done telling you how much these admins.
I don't think everybody was done.
Who else has something?
No, I wanted to say something.
Have at it.
I just like to actually thank a couple of players on the light server. I know they're in here. I know one of them contacted me and let me know about a base that was completely twig, and they actually upgraded themselves with their own materials and got me to stick a TC and a code lockdown and stick a note in said players' inventory. And I just want to thank them because that really helps keep people around. That player was incredibly appreciative of the fact that that happened. And like I said, that was of their own player's accord.
Definitely.
I'd also like to say something else. Hi, I'm Nem, and I'd like to call Tia cunt.
Hell yeah. I love it. I was wondering if you're going to get me with that.
Oh yeah, of course I am.
So speaking of the new staff introductions, I mean, I didn't introduce them because you guys all know, Eternal and them and all the newer people. It's not like there's any strangers to the server, but the new staff, Boom, Nim, Eternal, even some of the newer admins that are already promoted, but aren't staff anymore. They're now admins. they've been doing an incredible job. I'm not going to lie. We actually usually have a pretty big turnaround with admins. They get burned out, or they just don't work out as staff. They don't do a good job, yada yada. This I guess you could call it this class, this draft class right now of newer admins and staff. Starting with Forgotten. I think he's one of our newer admins, and all the way down to Nim and all the newer staff. They are just knocking it out of the park. I mean, just absolutely knocking it out of the park. If you guys knew how hard they're trying and how much effort they're putting in, quite literally, it's ruining the game for them. They're putting in so much work. In my opinion, they haven't said that to me, but if I was putting in as much work as they're putting in as a new staff member, I would have quit. So these guys are killing it, and gals, not just guys. They're killing it. They're absolutely killing it. Which thankfully they are. Like I said, we have a high turnaround. Being an admin is not easy work, and these guys are killing it. So congrats to all the newer staff and admins we have, and they're doing an excellent job.
And for anyone who doesn't know, I am Eternal. I had posted something in general chat about a week ago now, a little over, about doing training classes for anyone who wanted to attend. It's more so geared towards anyone who's new to Rust and things like that, but anyone who wants to attend is obviously more than welcome. I'm going to be doing classes on things like, base building tutorials up to advanced building, how to design a fully functional base, either through, like how to do size management with bases, to try and assist with, these overly large bases that don't necessarily need to be as large. I'll also be, with the assistance of a few other staff members, doing electrical training and farming training. The plan is to start doing this after the force wipe. I'd also like to do a nice little run through on how to rate each tier of rateable bases. Try and show people, the most efficient way to do bases, things that some people don't actually necessarily look at or look for when going into these raids. And like I said, I want to try to start doing this pretty soon after the force wipe. The first class will be how to do base building and base design. And we'll go from there. You guys had excellent feedback on the post that I had posted in general chat, and there was a lot of you who were really actually wanting to do something like that. So I decided that I did want to push through with it and get those classes started here shortly.
And we're going to make sure we get them scheduled and stuff, so you guys have plenty of notice. It's going to be like Home Depot does those workshop things where they teach how to grout or tile and stuff. We'll get it scheduled ahead of time so you know what's coming up. Say this Thursday at 8, Eternal's going to do electricity class if anybody wants to come, stuff like that. So that way you have plenty of notice and you can come join on that stuff. I think that's a great idea, especially with all the new players we have in Rust recently.
On that note too, we'll probably try to get someone to record it too, if any of our people that can record are there. So if you miss it, we might have a video of it up afterwards.
Okay, so any other staff admins? Anybody got anything there? We all good? Move on to the player section, and that's the last bit. And we can let these people get back to their night here. Okay, so at this point, if I can get everybody to stop with the chat in the text channel. We've all been having fun in there, posting memes and stuff, but let's slow it down now so I can actually see the questions getting asked. If you have a question, just post. If you want to say it in voice, just post in there, I have a question. Or if you're shy and you'd rather just type your question, you can type it there. And I'm going to try to do my best to go down the list here and answer things. So if you're not asking a question, please keep the chat down for a second, just so I don't get lost. I'm old and senile. I got to be able to pay attention here. Something about half looted crates. Yeah, I actually considered reinstalling. We have a plugin for that, and I took it out in our desperate attempt to shave down our plugin count. I thought about reinstalling it because I've seen everybody bitching about some pretty douche moves lately with that kind of stuff. When we get really packed after the force wipe, you guys know we're going to get packed next week, right? We're going to get slammed. When we get slammed, I may install the plugin for a little while and see how it performs. I'm just scared of performance is the reason it's gone. We'll see how that works. If it doesn't hurt performance too bad, then we can leave it on. But we have a plugin that handles that. Basically, after you loot or even peek inside a container, after 60 seconds, it dumps the contents on the ground. So, and actually, if it's a trash pile, it'll actually delete the whole trash pile if you didn't finish looting it. That way, it spawns a fresh new trash pile. So we'll take a look at putting that back on.
For the record, I don't understand why people don't fully loot them. You guys get RP every time you loot a crate, every time you break a barrel, anything like that. Loot an airdrop. Every time you loot any of those things, it gives you RP. So it's honestly in your best interest to loot everything from that crate or box or whatever it is.
Yeah, and also, matter of fact, with that plugin, if it loots it for you by dumping the stuff on the ground, you still get your RP for it too. So it's pretty cool. You'll be walking along the road and suddenly get RP for her. You're like, what the hell? Okay. I have a huge question, like huge. All right, Dimitri, go ahead.
Why is your asshole so big?
Because I wanted Poo Water to live in it.
My car is stuck in it.
I accidentally skipped scares. What you got? When will the Sentinel application be posted? All you really need to do is just submit a support bot ticket, letting Aliana know that you're interested in being a Sentinel, and I'm sure she's probably going to get flooded with them now. So she'll handle that. Just bear with her. It's no offense. It's not top priority for us right this very second. So if we let your ticket sit idle for a little while, we'll get to it, I promise. So yeah, if you're interested in being a Sentinel, just throw a support bot ticket in there. Give me 1 second. I'm reading here and I play repeat base. Yeah, if you're in a PvP raid bubble and there's players around, even if they're just sleepers, you're allowed to kill them and take their stuff. That's just part of why you should spread out, because you could be offline. If your neighbor doesn't log in for however many days and his base becomes a raid and you're inside that bubble, your base cannot be damaged, but you can. So another reason why you should spread out, or secure your base so people can't get at you. But yes, you absolutely can kill them and take their stuff. How long until PvP hard bases despawn? They're 45 minutes.
I answered that.
Okay.
You're good.
All right, let me read Zetters here. So he's complaining about the TP Corps into raids. I thought, didn't we work on that with Nivix Drek?
Well, we changed it so if you're building blocked, you can't TP in. If you're not building blocked, you would be able to.
Yeah, I knew we did something about it. So so if they're inside the TC radius of that raid base, they can't TP Corps back in there because they're building blocked. If the TC has been destroyed, then I guess they can. And that's pretty much, I think, the way it's going to be staying for right now. We've tried many different things with the whole TP Corps and raid bases issue, and honestly, PvP raid bases are such a small percentage of what goes on here. It's pretty much all the effort we're putting into that at this moment. And I do know the frustration. There's nothing worse than you kill people and they just come right back in with a full kit, but they can't do that if they're in the TC radius. So.
And in those bubbles, I mean, you can place your own structures inside a raid bubble, right? And then it just despawns with the raid, right? So, thinking.
Yep, put your own stuff. Let me keep reading here. I'd like to see a link to the Home Depot Rust Grout class. How to grout your base. No, the butthole will not be in every map going forward. That was actually really hard to make, and I don't know what happened. We saw a rock formation or something when we were flying around on the map, and it looked almost like an anus. And I was like, dude, I bet I could build a butthole. So I literally was in the map editor and just gave it a shot.
I think it was me and you just sitting there. We were just like,
I was like, I'm actually gonna do it. I started streaming while I was working on it, and I was like, oh my god, it actually looks like it. So yeah, it was just like a joke thing to do. Let me keep reading here. Oh, with trash you don't want when you're looting crates and stuff. Yeah, the cleaning up after yourself, just /remove stuff if that's what you're talking about. But the crates, if there's stuff in there you don't want, just throw it on the ground. It'll despawn. Let's see. Yeah, if the TC is broken, they can use that. Nightmare bases, no, they're not currently going to spawn naturally. They're going to be purchase only. There's a couple of issues with the nightmare bases. With that, is one, they're not going to be profitable. Like you're going to come out for a loss when you do a nightmare base. It's if you're doing those for the fat loots, you're not going to be happy. You're going to get tons of loot. Don't get me wrong. I mean, I think when I tested it the other night, I set the loot to double what a hard base has. So there's definitely a lot of loot, but those bases are just there for the bragging rights. Like, dude, let's think of it like a WoW raid. You know, you get your buddies together. Like, hey, tonight let's do a nightmare. You know, you get a group together, you tackle a nightmare. That's what they're there for. They're just there for the challenge. They're not going to be something you're really going to see profiting from. And on top of that, spawning them and despawning them, it's a chore. It's a task. That's why we did that test the other night.
They are also for my enjoyment.
So we don't want to tax the server with them constantly spawning and despawning themselves, which is why they're going to be purchase only. Let me see. Moving on down. You hear my wife yelling at me in the background. My dinner's been sitting there for 2 hours now, waiting for me. Russ needs to make it where you get rid of high grass. Yeah, I can't do anything about the high grass and shrubs. Even with maps, I can't do anything about that.
Is it possible you can add a title for most nightmare bases rated?
Yeah, we're actually working on making something like that possible. Absolutely. That would be really cool. So it's definitely something we want to do. All right, give me 1 second. I'm still reading here. This is why I didn't want chit chat, because now all the stuff I'm reading, none of them are questions. Let's see.
Well, chat is very slow down too, so I set it to like 15 seconds.
Nice.
I think Brait had the next question with you noticed when you did an easy base, it had modular cars, but when the base despawns, the car despawns too. So if you steal it, it goes away. You want to know if there's a way around that.
Anything that spawns with the bases is going to despawn. There's nothing we can do about that. The tax it would put on the server for the plugin to try to track, like, okay, I want to despawn all this stuff, but not that stuff. It's just too much. It's not going to happen. So anything that happens with the raid bases will despawn with them. Have we only been doing top voter seats? No, top donator and voter should both have their ranks and their perks that go with it.
I think Corpse Man up 76 had a question.
Yeah, what you got?
So, I don't want this to sound like I'm complaining because I'm not, but because I'm still kind of new myself. But I had a guy start building a base. It was all twig, fairly close to mine. I went over, talked to him. Nice guy. He was like first day in. I gave him a whole bunch of stuff, kind of like somebody did for me. I had to hunt around, and Maz helped me. I couldn't remember, couldn't find what the refer thing was, even though it keeps popping up. But and again, I don't care, and I'm not complaining, but it was like 200 RP when he referred me. And like I said, everybody I've met so far here is super helpful, willing to help, share, sell, trade, whatever. But in that aspect, maybe throw that. I don't know if it's in somewhere in the Discord. I've looked, but I couldn't find it. Maybe putting that in somewhere, but also 200 RP, maybe something a little better. Again, doesn't matter to me. I had plenty of stuff, and I'm willing to help without getting anything. But it might make more people willing to. Not that anybody isn't, but newer people that are helping new people, more incentive for them to help more.
Yeah, I agree with that. When we first made that refer command, RP has gone through a lot of inflation over the years. Like I remember back when 100 RP was a ton. I remember the first person breaking 1,000 when everybody was just like, "Holy shit, he's got over 1,000 RP!" And now people can fart and get 5,000 RP. So yeah, actually, throw that in the suggestions for me to raise the RP for the /refer, and I will get that taken care of. That's a good idea.
And as far as the command goes, it's in /info. If you go into /info under the commands, it is listed there.
Yeah, it's there.
Is it? I swear I looked, I didn't see it, but and like to me, not even it wouldn't even have to be RP because, like you said, I'm sitting on a ton. I don't know if there's other ways to
Yeah,
reward
unfortunately, the
people for
plugin
helping.
doesn't have the capability to do anything else.
Fair enough, but yeah.
At least I get something though. All right, so anybody? Yeah, VIP or veteran used to. VIP was never $75 for a year for VIP, but veteran used to actually be 75 hours of playtime instead of 60. We lowered that. Because we've never had a year of VIP. Like, let's face it, nobody donates for VIP. They go straight to veteran. And if you're talking about veteran being that cost for a year, that's because we had a special going on at one point where we were doing that. All right. Anybody else have any questions? Going once. Going. Oh wait. I'd have to see it. I'd have to see it to give you an opinion on it.
Yeah, Pucky, we haven't put baselines out there. We still kind of need to formulate how we want that to look because, I mean, again, we don't want to give away our full understanding of how things go because the problem is if you reveal too much, then people find a way to, they think of something you didn't think, and then it becomes a whole gap in everything. So for now, I've just been asking people to ping me if they have questions. I can come and take a look and provide direct feedback. But otherwise, just submit it as you think, and we'll classify it or tailor it if we need to. If you think
I don't think he's talking for raid bases.
Oh, my bad.
I think it's talking about
his
actual
just
build sizes. Which, if we gave guidelines on that, then everybody would purposely build all the way up to that max. So we don't really. We're going to give examples of things, but we're not going to give definitive without having to be able to.
Anyways, to answer Pucky's question, I've seen the base you're talking about before, and that one's fine. It's not that big.
I don't know how somebody put a skull for Quetzal in town, but that is awesome on the light server. That is so awesome. Okay, I guess you can interact with those skull mounts as a player. That's cool. Somebody put Quetzal's skull on that one. All right. Any other players have a question before we get to the end of this? No, you don't get any kind of renewal reminders for Vet Gold or anything like that, but they do stack. So if you notice it's coming up soon, you can always just get Vet Gold again, and it stacks the time on to the end of whatever you currently have. Anybody else got anything? Going once, going twice? No, skinning deployables doesn't increase the load on the server. It increases the load on your client and player clients, but not by a lot. I mean, if you hit F1 console and type perf8, PERF, like performance, PERF8, you'll see at the bottom left, you'll see this thing, and it'll say when it's loading skins. Like, so if you go around a bunch of bases, you'll see it like downloading 12 skins or something like that. So that's where that affects you. Let's see, does Halloween TP and disable on PvP day? What about backpacks? No, we have a raid block plugin on PvP day that if you're currently fighting people or getting raided, it'll disable you from doing home and all that stuff. Your backpack works just fine on PvP day, but it does drop if you die. That's the only difference with backpack. Okay, I don't see any more questions. So unless any more admins have something, I think that's going to be the end of this, and we can give out some prizes here. /remove will not work while you're raid blocked. No. Basically, all the cheesy crap stops working while you're raid blocked. I don't know what. I guess F8 might be. I don't know. I never tried that. I have so many keybinds that almost every key on my keyboard is taken up by an admin keybind. Yeah, we did talk about Bradley's. We're going to be installing Bradley cooldown timers for players, so they can't just keep taking all the Bradleys. Oil rigs, nothing we can do about that. Okay, so let's move on to the prizes. If you're on the main server, Drax's going to be dealing with you, and if you're on the light server, I'm going to be dealing with you. So if you're on the light server, Drac, I'm doing mine at town. I don't know where you're doing yours. I'm just doing mine right under the front archway of town.
Yep, can do that too.
Okay, so hi, Fractal. So anybody that is in this channel that's on light or main, go line up in front of the admin at the entrance to town. single file line. Once I give you your treats, don't get back in the line again. There'll be another admin watching to make sure you don't do that. That's considered trying to steal from us.